Hey you beautiful people, how's it going? And welcome to a new video. So I posted a Flicker Strike Occultist showcase the other day. Quite a few people asked for a video talking about it, how it works, and whether or not I would be able to make a budget version. So when they requested budget, a lot of people said around 100 to 120 Exalted Orbs. So I've managed to do one which can do endgame content for around 80x. And I will break down the budget and compare the breakdown to my build itself and show you the POB and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about how it works first and foremost, and then I'll get into that afterwards. Okay guys, so how I made this build, it was very simple. It's just an upgrade from my Cyclone build. It took about 4 or 5 changes to actually get it to work really well. Really easy to do. So the first change is the Farrell's Fur instead of the Iron Fortress. This is because Occultist really sucks at generating frenzy charges, and Farrell's Fur is just the GOAT, hands down. So you're going to want to pick this up. And then we have our +1 max frenzy charges, strike skills target 2 additional nearby enemies. Ignore the implicits. I got these from the double corruption chamber. It's the whole reason I made the build. Just ignore those. Make sure you get the +1 frenzy and the strike skills. You don't need elevated strike skills with this build. I'm pretty sure it will be fine with just one, because we are using divergent melee splashing it pretty much all the time. So, yeah, one should be fine, just so you can hit the Hydrosphere when you're killing bosses. And you're going to want to make sure you have an open suffix for aspect of the cat on these, because you'll have to suck in less duration. So the frenzy uptime is pretty much permanent, because the buff swap every 3 seconds, so you always gain maximum charges. So you'll never have problem with frenzy charges as long as you have the less duration in there with the aspect of the cat. Last thing I changed about the gear is the Paradoxica. So we have switched to Paradoxica because it has great APS. Attacks with this weapon penetrate 60% Chaos Res, always deal double damage, and 21% increase attack speed and Dex and Int, which is also nice for the build. So this one itself is about 30x, I would guess, especially after making this video. You can get one without the Dex and Int and attack speed. The attack speed, increased attack speed while a rare or unique enemy monster is nearby will also be fine, and they will be about 2x. Those are on the budget version, but this is the best in slot weapon that you can get. So that's enough about the gear. Those are the only changes I've made to my gear from the Cyclone Strength Stacker, so just bear that in mind. And now how it works is, I had quite a few people telling me that my DPS wasn't actually that high, even though it is, because they were looking at my tooltip and saying, well, you have 66k tooltip, so there's no way your DPS is that high. And that's a terrible measurement, honestly, terrible. So whenever I press Battlemages Cry, it goes up. So it's currently at 219,000, fluctuating to 237 depending on which buff I'm at. This is because of the Iron Will and the strength stacking. So Iron Will strength damage bonus applies to all spell damage as well. We have 3,000 strength, so we're getting 1% melee, fizz, and spell damage per 5 strength. And then Battlemages Cry buff makes increases and reductions to spell damage, also apply to attacks at 25% of their value per 5 power, up to a maximum of 150%. We always have maximum power because we have the Red Blade banner in this build. And then we're buffing up the effect, so it's actually not 150% maximum. It's actually around 249 with my current setup. So you get the Natural Authority, which gives you 30%. This little node here gives you 10%. You can get it on Lethal Pride. Anomalous Urgent Orders gives you another 10%. And then the Helmet gives you 15%. So yeah, you can buff it quite high and even higher with a Lethal Pride that has multiple Warcry buff effects. But you're pretty much looking for percent strength on this stuff, or, you know, flat strength like that. But yeah, you can get it pretty high. So when I press it, my damage spikes, and it's going to spike for 8 seconds. Cooldown on Battlemages Cry is 7 seconds, so it's got permanent uptime. You can just hold down the move button while you're flicker striking, and this will activate while you're flicker striking. And then obviously when you're killing bosses, pop up both your totems and your Hydrosphere, activate it, and you can see there we have 258,000 fluctuating to 278,000, and the DPS goes insanely high, guys, insanely high. I will show you right now with a Awake 9 Sirus kill in about 3 seconds, as well as an Hezmin Guardian kill in about 0.1 seconds. So here you go.
With your death, this nightmare may finally end. My heart races. I am alive.
Okay guys, so how much can you spend to get started with the build? Let's take a little look at my budget spreadsheet. Yay! So we got total 82.36 Exalted Orbs on the budget version, which the POB will be in the description down below. So I've changed quite a few things around from my one. So the Paradoxica down here is going to be about 2x, swapping obviously to the attack speed while a rare or unique enemy is nearby. Red Blade Banner is only 10c, so fill your boots with that. We're going to swap the rings out as well. We have 2% increased strength rings. These are insanely expensive now. These were about 25x when I started strength stacking, and now they are around 80x. So ignore these guys and get yourself some Iolite rings, which are the increased chaos damage rings, and then just roll them with Deafening Essence of Strength until you get something you're happy with. That's all you have to do, and those will be sufficient. They'll give you good DPS, and they're only about 50c to make, so fill your boots with those. Synth Belt, I think it's perfectly acceptable on the budget version. So you get a tier 1 strength belt like that. They're only about 3 exalted orbs, so it should be absolutely fine. Astramentus with max rolls is always the best budget version you could possibly have. This one is obviously very, very expensive to craft. There is a crafting video I've made on my channel if you want to check out how to make them. Yeah, Astramentus will always do you just as good, to be honest. It's obviously not going to be as much DPS, but it's absolutely fine. Replica Alberon are the boots that I'm using, and these cannot be replaced because these give us the chaos damage per 80 strength. So yeah, you can't replace them. Unfortunately, they have spiked again recently. They were 9x, went up to 24, came back down, and now they're 28 because of another strength stacking build. Strength stacking is just too good in this league, guys, honestly. Farrell's Fur is 4.5 exalted orbs for a normal one. I'm gonna give you guys a tip now. Just buy the Ferric Tiger Alpha and farm Farrell. The Ferric Tiger Alpha is about 13 to 15 chaos at the moment, and you can get a Farrell's Fur within 10 of them. You will get it way cheaper than this. You could even do that 2 Sal Farrells if you really want. But yeah, that's a little tip for you guys. That's how I got mine ages ago. So single elevated helm as well. So my current helmet is this Gal Corona Royal Bergen Net, which is double elevated. It has Ashling Life on it as well as Hybrid Life. It's quite expensive. You can get this by dropping the Chaos Resistance one to just a normal 9%, and it'll cost you about 27, 28x. You can try and make it yourself, to be honest, or you can just buy a pre-elevated Warlord helmet, which are about 17x last time I checked on trade, and just make it yourself. Yeah, really easy to get. Just make sure you get the Battlemages Cry buff effect on the helmet. So that's it for the equipable gear, guys. Honestly, not that expensive if you're going for this budget version. It's about 66.4 exalted orbs for the gear. Valuable gems wise, to be honest, guys, you can drop the only expensive gems. I have a Divergent Flicker Strike 2120, but I made that myself just on a whim. But you don't need it. You can use normal Flicker Strike, absolutely fine. Awaken Void Manipulation is the only Awaken gem that you really want, I guess. Like, Awaken Multi-Strike's obviously great, but they're 60 exalts. So if you drop it for a Divergent Multi-Strike, you'll lose about 2 million DPS, but you'll save 59 exalts. So, you know, still pretty good. So feel free to pick up Divergent Multi-Strike, Awaken Void Manipulation, Flicker 2120. Divergent Melee Splash will probably be your most expensive gem. This build doesn't need any Enlightened 4s or anything like that. Divergent Melee Splash at 5.4x. Close Combat 2120 at 1x, and Increased Crit Damage 2120 at 1.2. And obviously you can drop those for their respective 2020 counterparts if you really want. But yeah, total for these gems is about 10.1x. Basically, all of the money comes from the Awaken Multi-Strike if you're going to buy gems for this build. So yeah, the rest of the gems for the build, I haven't bothered putting them on there because they're all just like cheap. Battlemages Cry is not that expensive. You don't need an Assassin's Mark 2120 again. Anomalous Urgent Orders as well is only about 15 chaos, which is awesome. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really cheap. And then after that, jewels. So the jewels you won't be able to replace, pretty much most of them. Well, you can have alternatives to mine. So I'll go over them now. Split Personality, 2 life, times 2 with life and strength. They're very cheap. Very cheap. About 0.25x for 2 of them. Bronze max strength with 10% in is what you definitely want to be looking out for if you're not going to be running the Emperor's Might. So these are the ones that I'm talking about over here. So if I can move my mouse. You don't necessarily need 6% dex, don't worry about that. Just make sure you have strength and 10% reduced int, especially if you are running, you know, many of them. So I'm using this at the moment. A Brawn can replace this. It'll be absolutely fine. You just lose 10% increased damage, and your int goes a little bit lower. So don't worry about it too much. Should be absolutely fine. Then, coming back to the budget, Might of the Meek is a low-key sleeper for this build. I haven't talked about it before, but I have this Emperor's Mastery Prismatic Jewel over here. 7% increased attributes, 4% increased life. If you can't afford this, which it's highly likely that you cannot because these are very expensive, There's not even any on the market at the moment. So yeah, they're very rare. They're about 100 to 120x. Just get a Might of the Meek, slot this in, but you won't be able to take this node here, which I've altered for the budget version as well. And Might of the Meek in this node here will give you quite a lot of strength. It will give you pretty much the equivalent to this. The strength in the budget version when I changed the Emperor's Mastery to Might of the Meek actually stayed the same, so it was kind of impressive. So just bear that in mind when it comes to filling out this slot here. Back to the thing. DTD, MPF, TF, 8 passive cluster. I just had to abbreviate it all. It is Drive the Destruction, Martial Prowess, and Fuel the Fight. This will give you attack damage leached as mana, as well as attack damage leached as life, so you won't have to get leech anywhere else, and this just fills your boots. It's absolutely perfect, to be honest. They're about 1x. 1x, very, very cheap. Make sure you get this axe attacks or sword attacks deal to offset increased damage with hits if you can, because that's the best one, obviously, because these little nodes here will affect your damage a little bit. Mine has attack speed on it as well, but that's not totally necessary. And then, yeah, let's have a look at the rest of the budget real quick. So, 1 duel with Corrupted Blood. It doesn't matter. I just have inertia. It doesn't have to be. It could be efficient training. It could be on a brawn. Just make sure you try and find one. And then a Lethal Pride with 15% strength as well. So, coming into Lethal Pride down here, this is the socket where you want it, and you're going to want to look for nodes like this. 5% increased strength, 20 strength's also fine. Warcry buff effect's fine, but I don't have any on this at the moment. I've got maximum life over here. People were asking why I took this. It's because it has 5% increased strength on it. That's why. So if you want to know how you roll these, you don't buy them. You don't buy these and then get Divine Orbs because it's too expensive. What you want to do is go on the Forbidden Trove, or just find one on trade that has loads of them and just buy like 60. Just buy like 60 at a time. Keep socketing them in and just have a look around. Make sure they're good. Make sure they're unchecked if you buy enough TFT. Just to be sure that they, you know, because they're going to be selling the crap ones basically if they're checked. So yeah, try and get some unchecked ones, put them in here, and then just look around for the strength. And believe me, guys, you'll save a lot of money for this because you'll just be able to sell the ones that you don't use back, and it'll ultimately cost you about 10C for a 15% strength. So just make sure that's how you do it, guys. Don't buy Divine Orbs. I saw a lot of people asking me about Divine Orbs for this, so don't do that. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the budget version. I'll show you the POB for it in a moment. Let's just go over it. So 82.36 Exalted Orbs is the current breakdown for this. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, but the damage is probably going to be total garbage. And yeah, it's actually not too bad. So let me just open up the POB and I'll catch you guys in a sec. Okay, guys, so this is the POB for the budget version, which I'm going to put in the description for you. So total DPS is 23.191 million. A lot of people ask me on Discord, and I mean a lot of people ask me why their DPS is so terribly low for their specific builds. It's because, always because of this line here. This line here, increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks at 249% of their value, 49% increased critical strike chance. This line, guys, is your Battlemages Cry buff effect. It can't be put into POB any other way, so without it, that's when you don't have your Battlemages Cry active, which is still fine, but that's your true DPS. So that's how you, if you wondered, that's how you get it. And then I've also put the Lethal Pride stats for the Lethal Pride in this little socket in there as well, which is my current one. So, yeah, you may be looking at the config and thinking 15 Withered stacks seems a bit much. Realistically, for this build, it's very easy to get 15 Withered stacks. So we use Wither and Touch support on our Ancestral War Chief and our Ancestral Protector, and they apply very, very quickly because we can summon 3 of them. And then also you passively apply Withered every 1 second yourself, as well as the totems having a chance to inflict Withered. So just bear that in mind when it comes to the Withered stacks. If you take those off, you're always at least going to have 1 because of your passive. So with just 1, it would be about 13.4. It's very easy to get 15 on Sirus though. So just bear that in mind. Your trash clearing DPS, even without that. So if we take that off and you just want to clear trash mobs, be about 17 million without any Withered at all, or 18 million with 1 stack. So clearing is absolutely perfect. Let's just put that up there. And then for the flasks that we're using, Diamond Flask, Quicksilver Flask, Silver Flask, and a Sulfur Flask. We have a decent APS that is obviously going to take into account the Ancestral Protector totem being active. So, yeah, just bear that in mind. Actually, maybe I can disable that real quick. Where is it? It's this one, right? Ancestral Protector. Yeah, you take him off, 6.49 APS down there. He gives you quite a lot of DPS for bosses. He is very, very, very strong. yeah, also, when it comes to Lethal Pride down here, this is where you socket it. So you're going to have to take nodes which might not benefit you. Like, you might have to go here for strength. That's absolutely fine. The way to roll these guys, a lot of people ask me about Divine Orbs for these. Don't buy Divine Orbs. Go on the Forbidden Trove and look for somebody selling like 40 of these, and then just buy them all in bulk, unchecked. Make sure they're unchecked. And then just socket them in, see if you've got any good ones. If not, you can just resell them all for the price you bought them. And then, yeah, you just keep rinsing and repeating until you have one that you desire. That's how I got mine. It cost me 10C. You can do the same. And, yeah, it's just way more cost-effective than Divine Orbs. Another change from my build that is in this path of building. So I have Despair on hit on my gloves. And if you're wondering how I have Despair on hit on this build, I don't. I run it as an aura setup. I've dropped Skitterbots, which is currently in my setup. And if I come over here to skills, I'm running this in the weapon instead of the Velmorton Shell, so we have room. And I'm running Blasphemy and Despair, so Despair is as an aura. When you have Despair as an aura instead of a on hit, it makes your clear out way better because of the Ascendancy node Profane Bloom, which gives your cursed enemies you or your minions kill have 40% chance to explode. Because your Despair will target enemies away from you, which will, or, you know, because it's an aura, it will target further enemies back, so everything will be affected instead of just what you're hitting. So just bear that in mind as well. It's a lot smoother for clear on the budget version than it is on my version. My version's more of a quick boss DPSer and, like, just basically trying to see how high DPS I can get. But this version should be absolutely fine. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to hit me up. I got the Pantheons in here as well, and yeah, you kill all the bandits. So that's just about it for talking about this build. If you need me to elaborate or you're confused about anything, just hit me up on Discord. I will reply to you. That's about it, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit that sub button to support your boy, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.